to episode 70 of the SND Podcast show. Dan, what's going on?
Not much. How's it going tonight, Steve?
Can't complain. Especially
episode 70. I'd like to thank everybody so far with the contributing to our Autism Awareness Month.
We are currently up to 66 views, which makes our grand total of $132.
That's awesome so far. So a couple more episodes. Can't wait to help out the remaining cause of our shows for the rest of the month. Don't forget, next week we're going to have our special NFL preview show.
Yes, we'll be welcoming Chris.
We're going to welcome Chris, talk about the Jets, a little round table, and of course myself with the G-Men. So it's going to be really fun next week. But this week we have a big special welcome to the SND podcast. My good friend Vin and NHL, who most of you know is Big Vin from 329 at On the Games. He also is our Mets beat guy. So it's going to be really interesting to see how Vin gels with us for the first time on our podcast. We both know Vin pretty well. Well, obviously Steve knows him better than I do. But tonight's going to be awesome. We're going to talk about Mets. They're on a 2-game winning streak as we're recording on Tuesday night, a rare Tuesday night recording. So sit back, relax. Hopefully you're getting work done or whatever, but thank you for everybody that has listened so far and continuing the support for this wonderful cause this month. So, take it away, Steve.
Right now, we're going to go listen to some Cross the Bear by Division 1.1. I spoke to recently, and they're hitting the studio to work on the recordings.
Awesome.
They're working hard. So, let's listen a little more Cross the Bear, and we'll be right back. Welcome back to episode 70 of the S&D Podcast show. Dan and Steven here, and right now we'd like to welcome into the show for the first time our Met correspondent for the S&D Sports Blog, Vin Man. What up, Vin?
Hey, Vin. How's it going tonight, Vin?
All right, guys. How you doing?
Great. Two
in a row.
2 in a row. That's called a winning streak, my friend, as the great manager from Major League 2.
3 is the winning streak.
3 is the winning streak. Yes.
Okay.
3 is the winning streak.
Okay, I was just trying to change it up for the Mets. Anyway.
Well, for the Mets, 2 is a big winning streak. So
both of you guys went to the game on Sunday together. So that awesome
0-6, sack 5 for the win.
All right, anyway.
I mean, the best 0-6 ever.
Oh boy. Anyway, let's just jump right into it. Since we already alluded to it. Curtis Granderson right now. What's your take on his big epic slump right now? A lot of concern right now, considering he's flirting with the Jason Bay territory at the moment. Or you think he's gonna pull through any moment, hopefully?
It is Jason Bay-esque, but I have hope he could still pull it through. He's hitting the ball. He's hit the ball well the few times I've actually paid attention. But it's just he can't get out of his own way right now. He sure went into the dugout on Sunday, and that's hard to do at Citi Field. The dugout openings are like nothing. He can't get out of his own way right now.
Yeah, absolutely. It's really about the him just not striking out as much. It's just him not getting out of his way, like you mentioned. It's really the kind of thing that the minute he starts getting on that hot streak, everybody will forget that he's hitting under his weight, and that's pretty bad, especially for someone who's not a big man like that. So hitting under 110,
120 was after the game yesterday.
120. Not even the supermodel girl. He's hitting a little average above like a little teenage girl right now. So he's
hitting less than Kayla weighs. It's getting ridiculous.
Yeah, that's kind of scary. Kayla, we did not mention your weight, so don't worry about it.
That was a guess. That was a complete guess.
Now she's gonna go cry, Vin, and
hey, Vin.
Oh, here we go again.
Here we go.
More Norton.
Anyway, let's who.
Well, if you saw my Facebook status Sunday after the game, 3 games this year for me, and Granderson is now 0 for 16 with 4 strikeouts and a walk-off sack fly.
Oh, all right. Yeah, I'll
in
go,
3 games that I've seen him.
I'm going Wednesday night. That's why we're recording tonight. We are I'm 0 for 5. So I'll make sure I'll have my tracker tomorrow if he goes 0 for again. But
that's my thing. That's going to be the thing this year. Tracking Granderson at games I go to.
Okay. So all right. So I have a lot of room to make. Anyway, so far there's been a lot more positives the last weekend other than Granderson not getting hit. What do you think are the few positives that Met fans should take away from the last 2 games that they've won, especially against 2 quality teams like the Braves and the St. Louis Cardinals?
The positive is definitely the pitching after opening series against the Nationals. It was just the bullpen was atrocious. I don't know where that came from, but the pitching's been very good. Henry Mejia has been phenomenal, and if he can keep this up, I mean, the guy who started opening day, Dylan G, probably is going to be out of a job next year, at least here. With the Harvey and Syndergaard, Wheeler, figure John Neese stays around, and what is our ace right now? We'll have a job next year. But, yeah, the pitching and the bullpen, Daisuke, who my dad thinks should be the closer, it just pitched great out of the bullpen the other day. Valverde didn't give up a home run, which is a plus. Kyle Farnsworth, even though apparently he had a problem with his forearm at the end of the game last night, got the job done, and I think definitely the pitching is the key to this team winning now and in the future.
Absolutely, 100%. Like you mentioned in your first article with us. Yeah, it's really the bullpen and clutch hitting right now that's really been the Mets' Achilles heel the last couple of years, especially. But this year, you can tell the notion that that's what's going to be this year's problem. We'll have a couple of games that will break out, like last night and the night before, kind of thing. But we need to get the offense going just a little bit more. David Wright's been red hot this week. We just needed the guys around the rest of the order to get hits. Travis d'Arnaud is finally getting hot. That's great to see. Especially he had a rough few weeks, which everybody was going crazy about, even though, it's the beginning of the year. Stats look more glaring than what it really is. If he did this in the middle of July with a better batting average, no one would really bat an eye about it. So right. I'm really happy to see that Travis d'Arnaud is finally hitting, and he's a solid catcher. So he was worried about the pitching staffs right now and everything like that. So I'm glad to see he's finally stepped up and all assets of the game right now. So, what do you think of Travis, especially since last year we got him for Dickey along with Syndergaard? Where do you think Travis is going to be towards the upcoming weeks? What do you expect him to remain hot?
I think he will. I like his short swing. He's been hitting the ball well. He's definitely, the pitchers love throwing to him, and he's great behind the plate. His biggest problem, and I mentioned this in my article, he's not Mike Piazza, and Mets fans expect all their catchers to be Mike Piazza or Gary Carter, even Todd Hundley. But he's not that. He's more of I guess in the body of Paul Duca. He's going to hit line drive singles, doubles, maybe 10 home runs a year, but I think he'll be more of a 40 doubles kind of guy. And that's really all the Mets need from him, especially if he's as good behind the plate as he's been.
Absolutely, I agree 100%. That's just the Met fans that are really not really knowledgeable, and we're spoiled because of Mike Piazza. I think if we get what we got out of Paul LaDuca, out of Travis, that was perfect. Because back in 2006, if you remember correctly, he was the heart and soul of the Mets team that year.
Definitely.
And if we get anything that resembles that, and we have just a little bit of that, especially with this year, we get a couple of bats with other people going with that, we can be a competitive team, and then very good building block for the upcoming year, especially since he's still relatively young.
For sure.
We got rid of one young piece. Granted, he
wasn't. He needed a change.
He needed a change. What do you think now that the Mets are going to give Lucas Duda the full reign at first base, other than the days that there's a lefty pitching? They'll give Josh Shatton a go around every now and then. What do you think of Lucas Duda? I honestly don't see it. What the Mets see in Lucas Duda sometimes.
My biggest issue with Duda.
He doesn't hit enough. He doesn't hit.
It's not even that he hit enough. That he openly admits that he gets anxiety when he comes up to bat in clutch situations. And you can't, if you're going to be a Major League Baseball player and a big-time Major League Baseball player, you can't have that.
Well, yeah, I can see where you're coming from. And honestly, he's not the only one. I remember Zach Greinke, a Cy Young Award winner, had the same problems, and they were talking about how he wouldn't be able to succeed in a big-time place when he was originally on the Royals. Look at him now. He's on the LA Dodgers, and you wouldn't even think that he had that problem a few years back. So it's really interesting to see why they choose Duda over. Maybe it was because of just the complete over and over, and the old story is of him being hurt, valley fever, the obliques, the ankle problem that started this situation back in 3 years ago. Was it 3 years ago? I believe it was 3 years ago, just about.
3 years ago, yeah.
That started 3 years ago, and it's really sad to see, especially how good he was when he first started to come up with the Mets. And I hope nothing but the best for Ike, because he did give everything he got. I know he had his moments that obviously a lot of fans got on him, which was 100% fair. But it's really what it should have, like what could have been. Not. It was really sad to see him go. Unfortunately, that like most things Mets, it ends in a bad way.
Yeah, I agree.
Like what's your take on Lucas Duda?
Lucas Duda, I'm kind of in the same thing as Steve. I remember them saying, and they've said it since he come up, that he doesn't feel like he belongs, or he has the anxiety problems. Like, I just don't like to hear that kind of stuff. He's been up and down a little bit. He's definitely not as good defensively as Ike was. He's a bit of a lumberjack at first base, but it is first base. Doesn't have to be, a Gold Glover over there. But he's in the Moneyball realm of he takes his walks and he gets on base. But I like, the potential of, like, he hit that 30-homer season, and you look back to that, like you mentioned before, the ankle injury. He was our best player the first month of the season before that happened, and then everything just went downhill since then. If it was me, I would have picked Ike over Duda, but obviously I don't run the team, and we'll see what happens. But I'm not confident. Neither of them, I think, were the first base of the future. I think this Dominic Smith they drafted is what they're looking for. But yeah, I would have went with Ike over Duda.
Yeah, I agree. I agree with that. I'm happy for Ike actually hitting the first couple of games as a Pirate. Ironically, the first player in MLB, one of the first players in MLB history, if not the first player, to hit a grand slam for two different teams versus the same team in the first month of his season. So
yeah, that was crazy.
Congrats to Ike on that, absolutely. This weekend as we're recording on Tuesday night, the Mets are playing the St. Louis Cardinals in a 4-game set, and then we play a 3-game set against the Miami Marlins. I still got to get used to that. I was about to say Florida.
It's over a year.
I know it's over a year, but sometimes it's just whatever. Take us through the rest of this homestand. What are you gonna want to take out of this homestand as we play these two teams that we played all the time? Are you going to any games before we get your take?
I don't have any scheduled yet, but I was looking at the Marlins schedule. If Jose Fernandez is pitching on Sunday, I'd like to go. Because he's a phenom, and I'd love to see him in person.
I'm going to be there on Sunday. Great. I'm going to be there tomorrow and Wednesday night and Sunday. Okay. So I get to see Jose Fernandez in the flesh. Wonderful.
If he is, yeah, I'd love to go see him because he's one of the best young pitchers in the game, if not the best.
Yeah. All right. So what are you going to take away this? What do you want to look forward to this week, the remaining of the week, and this weekend series against the Marlins?
Well, they lost 2 out of 3 this weekend. The Mets have had trouble at Citi Field since it opened. I don't know what the problem is. It's not like they don't hit home runs. They do. They just don't score runs, and other teams do. Right? I mean, it's as simple as that. The pitching's always pretty good at home. It's a pitcher's ballpark, but they just don't. They don't score runs. The Cardinals are one of the better teams in the league, so if we could just at least split this series, I'd be happy with that. But the Marlins are a team that is just usually at the bottom of the division, and they give the Mets trouble every year. Something happens. It's little guys that we've never heard of. Like, first it was Dan Uggla before he became big, Gabby Sanchez. It's just the guys just kill the Mets for really no particular reason. And I'd like to see them take 2 out of 3 from the Marlins, get out of this road trip as, 500. The homestand is 500, and go from there. They're gamble 500 now. I think that's where the team's going to be at the end of the year, so pretty much 500 homestand, and I'll be happy.
I agree with you. The Marlins are actually playing pretty solid offensively wise. They have Giancarlo Stanton, who's leading the league in RBIs and home runs at the moment. Last time I checked. So, with him being healthy, that's always a surprise. We all know how great of a player he is. It's just the fact of him getting any protection or being healthy. And they have Christian Yelich, who's actually been on an incredible hot streak as well. A lot of sleepers and a lot of fantasy leagues this year. I have him in a few teams.
They said even on Baseball Tonight that Giancarlo Stanton, they take him over Bryce Harper right now because of the way he's playing and the way he's been playing for players under 25.
Absolutely. It's really about him being healthy. I'm sorry, Ben.
It'll be a tough choice between Harper and Stanton, but like you said, and I think Steve mentioned this to me on Sunday, he also leads the league in intentional walks. So pitching around him is definitely something you got to do. Yelich is behind him, gives him some protection, but there's not much else in that lineup to be afraid of. You can't let it beat you.
Absolutely. All right. Since we all know Kyle Farnsworth's most likely not going to be our closer in a few months, who would you like to see? Who would you like to see try to take the place for the closer for the remaining of the year, especially since Bobby Parnell's out? I think the Mets should go after Josh Hanrahan if he's available. John Hanrahan if he's available. If he is healthy enough, because the Mets been rumored to be watching him work out the last couple of days, dates that he's been sourced to be working out. If they don't go that route, who do you think the Mets should call upon to become that closer if they decide one guy other than closer by committee?
See, I've been on this guy's bandwagon since the beginning. Jeurys Familia is the guy I'd like to see get a shot. He's a young pitcher. He's got a very live arm. He throws like 96 miles an hour. He's been off to a bit of a rough start, but even opening day, he had a bad outing, a broken bat hit and a bloop, and then he had the problem. He hit the guy to lose the game in L.A. But I'd like to see him at least get a chance. It's one of those things. The team's not going anywhere. I'd like to see what he's got in the ninth inning.
And who is that? I'm sorry?
Jeurys Familia.
Oh, Familia. Okay.
Yeah, sorry.
As bad as he's been.
But he's been okay. But he seems to have been lost in the bullpen because I haven't seen him. I don't think I've seen him since he pitched in L.A. But Carlos Torres, too, maybe a guy who could get a shot. He's pitched very well and is just pretty much just get the guys out. Even since he's come up, he's just gotten people out. So I'd like maybe he can get a shot. Farnsworth, I don't know. It's one of those things where it's the older guys, and the other shoe's going to drop eventually, in my opinion. So you got to give the young guys a shot. It also matters whether or not you believe Bobby Parnell is the guy when he comes back. Because if not, then you would go with a younger guy to see what he has. If not, Farnsworth or Valverde for the rest of the season wouldn't be terrible.
Yeah, but it's always the adventure that most of my fans are knowing it's going to happen.
Well, I said to Vin as soon as Valverde was signed, like, it wasn't fair to Parnell.
Yeah.
Because the guy every year they say is going to be the closer, and then they just bring in these other guys who have that experience doing it. Like, I thought that Parnell, if it wasn't for the Tommy John, was going to take it and run with it. I thought he was ready to. But, of course, now with the Tommy John, that's out of the question.
Right. Dudley Parnell has grown a lot since the guy who tried to blow everybody away. He was more of a pitcher and was very good last year, too, until the neck surgery or whatever happened last year. And now with Tommy John, who knows how he's going to come back. But I think he was the guy also. I agree with you on that point. But, I mean, who knows? I'd like to see him get a shot when he comes back, though.
Absolutely. I think he will, too. It's just one of those fluky things that neck injury, and then I guess he overcompensated the neck injury that helped lead to his injury with his elbow.
Right.
That's what tends to happen with most pitching injuries. With first there's an injury, like Ivan Nova the other day. He apparently had some other issue that was going on, and there goes the elbow. It really is interesting to see. I kind of hope that Vic Black actually steps up from Vegas, shows up in Vegas, shuts down, and then maybe the Mets call him up. Maybe, since he's apparently a flamethrower as well. It's just a lot of ways the Mets can go. It really is up to what Terry Collins and Sandy Alderson want to do with the team. It's really interesting to see how the Mets are going to go about this. Do they want to go young guy and watch him crash and try to sink or swim kind of thing? I think I'd rather see that, since we have nothing to lose. Go with the young guy and try to have it work out, because we have nothing to lose. We've seen the same song and dance with Farnsworth the last couple of years, and what Valverde was. Unfortunately, he's not what he was 2 seasons ago, and that's what's scary about it. He's just waiting to put gasoline on the fire already. That could happen. He's pitched well the last last outing on Sunday, but it could implode at any minute, and he's not the Valverde that everybody knows and respected. So I don't know. The Mets can go any different way. Knowing the Mets, they'll go the most cheapest and most angrily way possible, but we got to see what happens.
So, big month of May coming up for them. They have 4 games against the Yankees. By the way, breaking news: Pujols just hit 500th home run.
Congratulations to Albert.
Well, congratulations, Sam.
It took 4 years longer than anyone expected.
Hopefully it's a clean 500 home runs, but we're not going to talk about that.
Yeah, let's not get into that. What offensive player, Vin, are you looking forward to the rest of the season, other than the basics?
I really like to see Wilmer Flores get a shot. Tejada just doesn't do it for me. I don't know. I compared him to Edgardo Alfonso back in the day when he first came up, and I thought he could be that kind of player, but now he's just so much is falling apart. I don't know what happened, but I'd like to see Wilmer Flores get a shot to play shortstop. Besides that, who's on the team now? Eric Young Jr., I think. If he can get on base, I mean, this is a guy who could steal 50 bases like it's nothing. So if he could just continue to get on base, I had a stat before that hasn't had a hit in his last 17 games, but he's gotten on base in 16 of them. So if he just can take his walks and get on base, be the spark plug for this team, that's the real key to the offense, at least.
Absolutely, I would like to see EY can keep getting on base. The only thing is that when the hits stop coming, how is he going to get on base? The Mets need to find a way to keep him in the lineup every day. The player I'm looking forward to, hopefully he gets back. When he comes back from the DL, he continues his hot start, is Juan Lagares. I really like Juan Lagares, and he needs to play every day. And when he gets back in every day, it's going to be interesting to see which Young is going to play left field. Because with Lagares playing center field, he saves a bunch of runs every night. And at the moment, he was playing pretty well with the bat. So I want to see the growth of Juan Lagares continue as well when he comes back. It wasn't as bad as a hamstring injury. They just wanted to be cautious with everything. So honestly, I approve with the Mets actually for once doing the smart thing with a young player with an injury like that. I agree with you with Wilmer Flores. I think give Wilmer a couple more months of him actually playing the position of shortstop. He's been a third baseman throughout the minor leagues, so if we get him to learn that position a little bit more in Vegas, he'll be up hopefully by the summer if he continues to grow at the position. If not, I would hope to see the Mets maybe still go after Stephen Drew. That's unlikely right now, but you never know. He might be desperate enough when the Mets come calling, if they do call again, because he doesn't want to continue to sit out, and I'm sure he's really mad right now that he's not getting the money that he wants right now, especially playing the game I'm assuming loves and playing for it. So it's really interesting. The Mets can go plenty of different ways. I really would like to see an upgrade at shortstop, just like most Mets fans would. Granted, Tejada did have a great game on Monday night, but those are few and far between lately, and we really got to see what happens. Maybe he gets on a hot streak, and we'll be all laughing about this in a few weeks, but you never know. So,
yeah, the Stephen Drew thing was something that just puzzled me because, I mean, when this guy's playing, he's on the field, he's probably a top 10 shortstop in the game, but he's just not getting his money. You would have thought by now he would have signed a one-year deal with someone at Detroit, or Detroit was rumored, Texas, somebody, anywhere. The Mets, maybe. I don't know, but that's just, the Stephen Drew thing puzzled me a lot. I don't really know what happened there.
Yeah, it's very confusing. A lot of it has to do that the teams are scared of losing that draft pick. And I think at a certain point they don't have to give up the draft pick. I might be wrong with that, but I think that's what really is scaring people off.
Yeah, I think once the draft happens in June, and then the draft pick tender goes away, but he misses half the season there.
Yeah, and that's what's really scary about it. I don't see that happening. I think a team should just bite the bullet and just see what happens, because Stephen Drew missing half of the year, that's going to be a little rough for anybody that has him, and of course it's going to take him some time to get acclimated to whatever team he goes to, and on top of it, while everybody's in that, it'd be pretty much getting a trade deadline type of player right now, unfortunately to say.
Right.
The thing with Stephen Drew, in my personal opinion, is that apparently next year's free agent class at shortstop is amazing.
Yeah.
It's like one of the top shortstop free agent classes of a long time. So a lot of teams are probably just like, we don't want to give you that extra year, you know?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So that could be it, but, knowing the Mets, they'll just end up getting Stephen Drew anyway next year.
Absolutely.
I can see that.
I could see that happening.
Me too. But knowing the Mets' luck, they'll sign him and he'll get hurt and be a big bust. So hopefully
I mentioned that Lagares and Mejia at the time, they got hurt. Well, I think Lagares went on the DL in the morning. Mejia got the blister at night. They had been probably their best starter and best position player. And, of course, things were going too well, so they had to get hurt on the field at the same time.
Yeah, pretty much. That's just the Mets' way. So, Vin, you have any articles coming out in the next couple of days?
Yeah, I think we should have one, probably the end of the homestand. I'll have one out, recapping the homestand and breaking it down.
Okay, awesome. Once again, this is Big Vin. Vin, what's your Twitter handle?
It is Vinman626. I have Vinman626.
All right, be sure to check him out if you don't already check him out. He's pretty new like us, so he's done an awesome job covering the Mets right now. He's a good follow on Twitter if you're a big Packer fan, Islander fan, and a Met fan. So definitely check him out. Vin, thanks for coming on, and we'll hope to have you on soon, all right?
Thanks, Vin.
Yeah, thanks for having me, guys.
No problem. Have a great night.
Yeah, you too.
welcome back to the S&D podcast. Dan here with Steve. You just listened to Division 1.1's Cross the Bear. We'd like to thank Vin Man for just coming on a few moments ago, talking a little bit baseball right now. We're going to switch gears. We're going to talk about a little playoff hockey right now. Steve, the Rangers Flyers series has been everything that has been advertised. I went to game 1. Remember last week how I said the Rangers could have Emery on their feet if they are able to cut down the penalties. The Rangers cut down the penalties and get the Flyers backpedaling on their penalty kill because of they get in the penalty box so much. That actually happened at game 1, double minor with 5 minutes left. With 7 minutes left in the game. Bang, 2 power play goals on that power play, and the game was history. Game 2, the Rangers had seems to be the theme so far this first round with the Rangers is they start off early. They've been the better team for most part of the series so far. They've gotten early leads. The last 2 games they had 2-0 leads going into later in the first period. They give up a goal. The last 2 games, the first intermission has been 2-1. And for some reason, the Rangers got off the gas pedal a little bit, and they blew the lead on in game 2. It's going to be really interesting to see with the Rangers on how they look to capitalize the situation, especially being on the road in Philadelphia. The Flyers so far are really trying to bite the Rangers into doing something un-Ranger-like. And it's just a matter of time one of the teams snaps, and there is going to be a brawl fight tonight. We're recording on Tuesday night, so it's going to be really interesting to see what happens. And the series has been everything that has been advertised. Emery's been good, shaky. It's really up and down with that. Can the Rangers not beat themselves? That's what really comes down to. I really think it's more the Rangers being themselves than the Flyers actually being the Rangers so far, especially in Game 2.
Rangers lost Game 2 because the Flyers just wanted to win Game 2.
Yeah.
That's what it came down to. The Flyers wanted to win Game 2, and you saw it in the game when they had 7 guys on the ice, and then the Simmons empty net goal where he just outpowered.
Yeah, and you can't give up, you can't give up a lead like that in the playoffs. And the Rangers became displacement, and they just let it happen. Of course, you can be very mad at the refs for calling a couple embellishment penalties, a couple questionable calls here and there. But at the end of the day, you got to play the game. Flyer fans, of course, they are notorious for getting penalties and bitching about it. So you can't really play that card considering what the Flyers do. The Rangers just got to finish playing strong and not fall into the Flyers trap. The Flyers are big bullies, which we've known. They are the Broad Street Bullies. Their nickname isn't that for any particular reason. Of course, they're bullies. They're going to get you trapped and not play your game and play undisciplined. As long as you don't do that, you should be able to beat them. They're going to get under your skin and everything like that, but the way the Rangers are playing, when they're playing on top of their game and not rattled, they are a better team than the Flyers. I'm sorry. After being at Game 1 and seeing most of Game 2, and so far in the first period, so far in Game 3, the Rangers are the better team.
The Rangers are the better team, and we knew that from going into the series. The Rangers are the better team.
But looking at it, compared watching the games, you just tell that the Rangers are the better team, and the Flyers are hanging in there, and the Rangers just have to give them the TKO punch like they did for Game 1.
Yeah.
And you did not get that Game 2.
You didn't, and
it should have been done 2-0 lead at the Garden. The Garden's going crazy.
Well, no matter what, the rule of thumb is the playoff series doesn't start till both teams have a home game.
Absolutely.
So even up 2-0, I wasn't going to say, oh, they won. Over. Done.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. But you got that sense of, okay, Rangers are really, really, really be ready to go. They got the 2-0 lead in the series. Now they got to put the TKO in Philadelphia. At least you know that, hey, worst comes to worst, you go back to the Garden on Friday, hopefully to wrap it up.
Well, Game 4 is Friday, so it wouldn't be
on Friday. I'm sorry,
I believe it's Sunday.
It is Sunday. For some reason, I was thinking Friday.
playing tonight, and then they play tonight, Tuesday, while we're recording. Then they're playing Friday and Sunday. Friday, Sunday, Tuesday, Wednesday. Oh, 6 and 7 will be back-to-backs if it goes that far. If it goes that far. But, like you said, the Rangers are the better team. But it didn't matter because each team has to have a home game. For example, look at the Colorado-Minnesota series or the Anaheim-Dallas series. Colorado was up 2-0. Anaheim was up 2-0. And even the St. Louis-Chicago series. St. Louis was up 2-0. All three series went to the other arena. The home team won.
Of course.
So.
Of course. It's the rule of thought is if you're the road team in any playoff series, you would like to get a split for the first two games. And with the first two games, the Rangers let a big opportunity slip away the other day. The crowd going early in the game, and you got to put the dagger in the Philly Flyers' heart right there, and just getting that set the tone early, especially with Emery. Like we mentioned, he's a solid goaltender, but if you start peppering him and everything like that, he's gonna get rattled, and you can tell. And they've started. When the Rangers have scored, they've scored in streaks, and you can tell a lot of that has to do with that because it takes him a little while to settle down after a goal. And to be fair, in the game one, his goal was that's what happened. There was what happened was he needs to settle down, and with game one with the power play, both goals weren't his fault, but they were just bang, bang, move it along. The Rangers just moved the puck well, and they just beat him to the other side of the net both times. One was a rebound that he should have had, and the other one was just awesome movement.
But keep in mind also that Emery's not even their A goalie.
Exactly. And
Mason's their A goalie. Unfortunately, he is hurt, but he is the backup goalie tonight. Mm-hmm. So the question is, will a soft goal cost Emery the spot? If Emery couldn't... It's after one period right now, as we're recording this segment. After one period, and it's 2-1 Rangers.
Of course.
If Emery gives up another soft goal, you're probably going to see Mason. But if the Flyers come back and win this game, you're not going to see Mason at all.
Not at all. Absolutely not. I could see that.
The way Emery played in Game 2, you didn't give them a reason to play Mason in this game.
And it's another day for him to rest his head, since it was concussion symptoms.
Right.
So the Rangers really need to get it going if they gotta have to face Mason in either game 4 or 5, because it's only a matter of time when he comes back. He might be a little shaky, of course, but you gotta play well against the backup goalie. Granted, Emery has played in the playoffs and made it to the Stanley Cup with the Senators way back when. But there's been no difference this year. Steve Mason is their best goalie, and he's the best goalie for them to get any shot of winning more than one game in a series. I just think the key with the Rangers is don't lose your cool. The Flyers are going to bait you. The Flyers are just going to play Flyer hockey. And that goes for any team that plays the Flyers or a team that likes to be a bully. If you stand up to them and punch them in the mouth when they are going to be yapping, they're going to quit on you. After a while, they're going to quit. And with the Rangers' talent, and they got to use their smarts, they should beat them in 5 or 6. That's just me watching the series. I know I said 7 last Wednesday night. That was before the series. But as I've been watching the game very intently, the Rangers are just the better team, like we said over and over again. But just being able to watch it so far in the series, the Rangers should take it in 5 or 6. I don't see it going to 7.
I see the Flyers winning one game at home, so I can see a 6-game series. I believe it was Rangers in 6.
Yeah, I could see that in 6. But if it's going the way it's supposed in the Rangers' favor, I don't see it going any place past 7 unless they completely shit the bed. What else is going on in other leagues? Other rounds in the playoffs. A lot of
well, Tampa's out.
Tampa was already out.
Well,
3-0. 3-0.
They were down 3-0 in the series and 3-1 after 2 in the game 4. So yeah, it looks like Tampa's out, who also was out without their number 1 goalie with a concussion.
Yeah, that's another one. Ben Bishop was good for them all year.
The Red Wings showed why they can upset Boston in game 1.
Oh yeah,
with
absolutely.
Their Datsuk just being Datsuk, but basically their skill can outbeat them. But Boston then came back and just was hitting them.
And
back and forth.
And Milan Lucic only got a fine for pretty much just.
Well, if you want to get.
I hope he wore a cup.
If you want to pull something from the Bill Burr podcast this week, each one of that guy's nuts is only worth like $2,500.
Yeah, I heard that.
And he thinks it's funny that they're only worth that. But yeah, he got that, and Quinville got like double that for doing the Michael Jackson on the bench.
Yeah, that's crazy.
But Boston can be upset. That's all they do is hit, and that's what they did. They out-hit them in Game 2. And that was why they were able to win that game.
You can't count them out, obviously, since they won the President's Trophy. It's just that the Red Wings have been there so much that
they know
what to do. But when it's all said and done, Boston's been the better team this year, and with the injuries that Detroit has had this year, it's just too much to overcome. It's great to see the Red Wings do fight in the series, which you kind of expected. So good for them in this. This year is just one of those rough years for them. Rare rough years.
I think it's starting to become that way for the Detroit Red Wings. It had to happen eventually. 23 years in a row.
Oh, I know.
Of making the playoffs. It had to happen eventually. The other series should be 2-1 Columbus.
Yeah.
But Pittsburgh showed why they're the better team by coming back with, I believe it was less than 10 minutes left, and winning that game. Even though Dubinsky basically had a wide open net, and Fleury made probably the save of his career in the final seconds of that game. But good for Columbus to get their first ever playoff win this year. First ever playoff win and only their second playoff appearance in team history. But hopefully they'll be able to pull out one more game, and my prediction of Pittsburgh in 6 will be right.
Yeah.
I hope they get at least one. They have at least one more home game. I hope they have 2. The Wild Colorado series, that one's probably one of the more interesting ones because Colorado should win that series. And the way they won Game 1, they basically dominated it.
Absolutely.
But in Game 3, Minnesota showed they're going to fight.
And that's what you always see, especially with the home crowd, like we mentioned before with the Flyers. If you get home ice advantage, you got to take advantage of it. And it really comes down. The teams that win the Stanley Cup are the teams that win on the road, because fans are gonna carry the home team to a certain point. It really is up to the road team to make sure they don't get any stupid penalties. Don't get in the box. Play solid fundamental hockey and capitalize on the power plays and just play even-keeled offense in the neutral zone. Just gotta stay positive and low-key because you know you're gonna get penalties. It's just facts of the games, but you just can't get those overly stupid penalties that teams happen to get on the road.
I'll tell you what, they've changed goalies also, Minnesota. They took out Brzgalov, and they changed goalies. They played the other kid yesterday, Humper, 22 saves, shutout, 64 minutes of play. Good for him.
Good for him.
And also, if you haven't seen the goal that won that game, watch it. It was really good.
Absolutely. The
other series is Chicago-St. Louis. Interesting. There's some fun facts for you for this series. The same guy who had the game winner, Alex Steen, in Game 1 this year, had the game winner in Game 1 last year in the Blackhawks-St. Louis series. The same guy who had the game winner in Game 2 this year had the game winner in Game 2 last year in the Chicago-St. Louis series.
Wow.
And Chicago went on to win the next 4 games.
The Blues have to put the stranglehold on the Blackhawks. And it's going to be rough that with their captain most likely being out, especially with that gruesome hit that Seabrook gave on Backes the other night. It's hopefully he gets back if they advance to the next round. It's going to be interesting to see with that. He's pretty much seems to be the heart and soul of the team. The Blues have been hurt. The last 2 wins have been the first wins in almost 2 weeks for them. So it really comes down to does the Blackhawks show their grit and their knowing how to win, pull out versatile wins against must-needed wins against teams that don't know how to close out series yet. So it's not over yet for the Blackhawks, but hey, if the Blues have another awesome showing the next couple of games, it could be early. It could be an early exit for the Blackhawks, which no one expected. But honestly, it comes down to injuries.
It does, and
obviously no one wants to use it as an excuse, but it is really an excuse for them.
And I'll tell you who's laughing watching this series. Scott Stevens.
Yeah.
Watching this series is laughing because that Seabrook hit was basically the same thing that Stevens had against Eric Lindros when Lindros skated down the middle of the ice and laid him out, and Paul Kariya in the Stanley Cup game.
Not really, because it was against the boards.
The guy didn't hit the boards. Yeah, it was by the boards, but basically shoulder to body. The way the guy was he was falling, so his head ended up getting into his shoulder. If he wasn't falling, it was shoulder to chest. Mm-hmm. Clean hit.
Absolutely.
And now Seabrook is missing 3 games. Well, 2 more games.
That's what happens when you get finally head to the boards kind of thing.
So, I didn't agree with the call. I thought it was a clean playoff hockey hit, but that's just me. The other series, I think, which is basically over, but good for Dallas to win a playoff game.
Good for them. Good for
Anaheim dominated that series at home so far. And yes, the Stars won 3-0 at home in their first home game of the series. Mm-hmm. I just don't see them.
It's a wrap. It's just you're just happy that they won one game, and they were not supposed to even make the playoffs this year.
Right.
And they did. They're Shear's Islanders team. So congratulations to them on that.
And then that final series, the Kings and Sharks.
Wow, I'm shocked about that.
I don't know what to say about the Kings.
If the Kings pull it out, my Stanley Cup, one of my Stanley Cup teams are going to be eliminated. So
granted, the Kings haven't had their home game yet as we're recording.
They'll have it Tuesday night.
But they're up 2-0 and dominating that game after one period and lose the game 7-2.
Yeah, that's rough. That's a stinker. So I think they'll be raring to go tonight, and they're gonna cut the series lead to 2-1. Like I said, it's gonna be tough, but I feel they're gonna find a way to make it to the cup, and I'm not giving up on them just yet. A couple more games to go.
Well, like we said, got to have a home game before you could count the team out.
Absolutely.
So that's basically it for the playoffs. I'm still rooting for the Flyers to lose, but win.
Yeah, good for the podcast kind of thing. The more the Rangers are in it, the more we get to talk about playoff hockey on the podcast, or more of a reason for them to win. With that being said, here's more Division 1.1, and we'll be right back. Back to episode 70 of the S&D Podcast Show. Once again, that was Cross the Bear by Division 1.1. I'd like to thank Vin for joining us. Once again, Vin, like we mentioned before, thank you for coming on. Continue to support us while doing a great course for Autism Week, a month, I should say. We've collected over $132 so far, right? Something like that. So thank you for everybody who has listened to our show. Hopefully you continue and actually enjoy our show that we put out weekly. It's fun. It was a fun show. It was a very light show, but a very fun show. Be sure to check out our football NFL draft next week. Draft preview, since it's going to be a week away. So be sure to check that out. There's going to be a lot of fun with that. We're going to have Chris on to talk about the Jets. We're going to have a little round table with that, with the Jets. Myself with my take with the Giants as well. So stay tuned. And honestly, before we leave the night, how about those Nets and Raptors? That's getting a little scrappy, that kind of series right now. Nets won game 1, and Paul Pierce did what Paul Pierce does in the playoffs. He comes through in big situations and wins games. And that's what the Nets made that trade for last offseason. So it's really interesting to see what the Nets can do and if these quote-unquote old dinosaurs do against young Raptors team. So I'm really interested to see in that as well. What do you take on that series so far? Before we leave, feisty. Yeah, very feisty, right? The GM cursing out the Nets, saying "F the Nets." It's really going to become a playoff, maybe a little rivalry next year and the years to come kind of thing, if this series has continued to go the way it's been so far. With that being said, I still think the Nets are going to win this series just because they have Kevin Garnett and Paul Pierce, like we mentioned. But the Nets can't sleep on them, and we've known that. I would have never thought in a million years that the Toronto Raptors was going to win the Atlantic Division this year, and you just got to give them props for that. So kudos to them with that. We didn't really talk Yankees because we have Vin Man on. Yankees have been playing pretty decently. They had a couple rough games against Tampa, but they found a way to win a couple of the last couple of games. And currently on Tuesday night, they're destroying the Red Sox. So that's a good start. Like I mentioned, the Yankees are playing a lot of division games. They can get a very healthy division record right there, and at the end of the year, that could help them possibly get a playoff spot, even a division win. So the Yankees need every win they can get against these teams that they've been playing in the division. So, and I think they're playing Baltimore next. So they just keep on getting healthy against these teams that they play in the division. And you play them 18 times. So the Yankees just got to keep on doing what they are. They got to keep on playing what they've been doing. The Yankees really need to continue to just play better.
Yeah, 100% agree. The pitching's there. Tanaka's
been great. Unfortunately, they lost Nova.
Yeah, it looks like it's going to be Tommy John surgery for him.
Tommy John, and that's sad to see him go. He's had a rough couple of outings, and you could tell something was wrong. That's normally what the situation normally is at times. So happy to see that. Happy to see them playing better. And Tanaka has a very good cushion so far tonight. Do you have his stat line in front of you?
I do not have his stat line because Tampa just tied the game at 3.
They're playing the Red Sox.
The Tampa Canadian series.
Oh, okay.
I will have his number up in one second.
Regardless, Tanaka's been playing out lights out. Pineda's been playing lights out as well. CeCe's pitched better. It's not what he was a couple years ago still.
6 innings, 6 hits, 2 earned runs, 5 strikeouts, 2 homers.
It wasn't as good as last start, but hey, first time pitching in Boston in a very hostile environment, you'll take that every time. So that being said, the Yankees just got to continue to take care of business and rest the old guys when they need to and play them until they die, pretty much. Robertson got cleared to play today, so their closing situation got a little bit better and more clearer. So that's good for the Yankees. Other than that, continue to enjoy your NHL playoffs, NBA playoffs.
Yep.
Hopefully the Mets and Yankees win. I'm going to be at Citi Field on Wednesday night and Sunday night. So
I'll be there Friday and Sunday.
Okay, so if you see us at any of those games, be sure to don't be shy and say hi. Once again, thank you for everybody that is listening for the Autism Awareness Month. We appreciate it. More listens, more money we give to them.
Autism.
Which is a wonderful cause. So once again, and don't forget to also check out the SNDPODCAST.com.
Yes.
A lot of articles. Dan's been phenomenal with the previews and with the Ranger stuff. I know Joe's been writing out articles. Vinman's been writing a lot of articles. Don't forget Tom LaFaso with a little soccer preview. So and Steve's first debut article, which was pretty good about the Islanders' first season. So keep it up.
Working on a Nick's article now about the coaching staff as well.
And that should be fun as well.
By the way, just so you know how we're supposed to see Jose Fernandez on Sunday.
Okay.
14 strikeouts in 8 innings.
Oh, okay. That's going to be a quick game. Who would the Mets be pitching?
G.
Oh, poor G. No run support again. Anyway, we'll see. Catch you guys next week. Enjoy your playoff hockey, and we'll see you next week.
Enjoy guys.